You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage, and push you to a new edge of discovering what that big CEO energy means for you. Listen, I understand that we have barriers that we carry from when we were once employees, and those have impacted us as we continue to build our businesses. I'm here to walk alongside you and give you encouragement through interviews with friends and other women in business who have broken down those barriers and paved their own way. Tune in with me as we uncover some of the unconscious things that we do that keep us from building that big CEO energy we've always dreamed about. Let's dive in. Have you ever woken up one day and thought to yourself, this is not my life's purpose? The job that I am in, the business that I have started, I don't feel connected to it. Have you ever felt that way? I know that my guest today, Diane Lam, she has felt that way, and she has pivoted her business in such a way where she has found her life mission. And when I tell you that her life mission is so aligned with you and with me, it is the most beautiful thing. So Diane is an operations and scaling strategist for online business owner. And her mission is to make sure that ops expertise is accessible at every level of business so that we can double together the number of female-owned businesses that make it to $250,000. She breaks this down in our session on the numbers, but it is incredible. And she shows her clients how to create custom sustainable systems, tech and automations, and teams so that they master their operations and develop leadership skills that lets them scale to the 250,000 and beyond, with both freedom and flexibility to do more of what they love in their business and outside of it. She's been featured in Forbes, Bloomberg, Business Insider, USA Today, Thrive Global, Authority Magazine, Prevention Magazine, and so many more. I cannot wait for you all to listen to my conversation with Diane. Let's dive in. Welcome, Diane. How are things? Oh my gosh, I feel like just so the listeners know, Diane and we play a lot of email tag and a lot of, hey, how are you? Let's do a quick 30-minute connection. We haven't directly worked with each other, which is interesting, but I love taking up space with you, and I love sharing all things ops and getting nerdy with you. So welcome to the channel. We're so happy to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. I know that we run in kind of similar circles. We worked in similar industries. I know that you were someone that I had vetted to pull into my team before I decided to make massive changes. So, it just didn't work out at that point, but our paths continue to cross. So, we'll see kind of where it goes, one collaboration after another, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So bearing in mind that honestly, I don't know sort of much of your past and how you even came to be an entrepreneur. So can you kind of walk us through that journey high level and when you first started business, what were you kind of doing in that space?
So I worked in finance for a really long time, right? I worked on Wall Street. I worked in big financial institutions. I've only ever done operations. That's the only thing I did for almost 13 years in corporate. And then I parlayed it into my own career. But the one thing that sticks out is that I always said that I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Never. That was something that I had in my mind from the beginning. My parents were entrepreneurs. They ran a restaurant. I saw how hard they had to work. And I was like, nope, that is not for me. I went into Wall Street where I worked with a lot of financiers where they are essentially their own businesses, the ability to raise capital, to, they created new businesses constantly, new investment vehicles, new hedge funds, things like that. And I saw the pressure they were under when things were not going well, when, we're working on a big transaction and, people are not coming together, the valuations are not there, and the deal starts to unravel. and the pressure they were in. I was like, you know what? Again, not for me. I'm not going to be that person. So I always went into working with like, I'm just going to be someone's employee. Like I'm going to work at a big company and that is enough until it wasn't. Like I worked in corporate for 13 years where I worked with a lot of really visionary people, really high-end CEOs, people who were at the heads of their departments, people who were like, at the head of their industry, right? And they were like, well, I just want to do what I want to do. And you're really good at like, keeping a deal together or, making other things happen. You do that and I'll do this. Right. So I end up like, fresh out of college, launching 5 hedge funds and a couple of private equity funds, sweating bullets. The first couple of times I did it, being like, man, I really hope I'm doing this right. And, just like starting all kinds of different business ventures. I am thankful to those experiences because it like showed me like, wow, I worked really, really hard. And these people really set the expectations high and pushed me to the edge of like my own sanity in some ways. But like, it really showed me what I'm capable of. And it showed me like, it gave me experiences that not a lot of people have within the industry in terms of like being able to create a lot of different types of companies, being able to, do it very, very quickly when there are millions and millions of dollars at stake is, I think, something that actually served me in a lot of ways in terms of like being able to bring that kind of urgency and that kind of like perspective to my own business. But I wouldn't say that it was like super enjoyable and I want to do it over again.
Yeah.
So that's like the too long don't read version.
Wow. It's interesting. I talk with a lot of women in business and usually they have this lifelong pipe dream of, right, being an entrepreneur, and they just kind of, and I grew up the same way where it was like, you go to college, you get your 4-year degree, you work your Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and you have your 2 days off. And that is just life. That is, and you stay there for 30 years and then you get a pension and you're done. Right? That is like the life cycle of kind of what happens in corporate. I will have to say you are the first person that I've met that is like, yes, I wanted to be that employee because I just saw how much my parents struggled. But little did you know, right? Yeah. This whole time you're doing entrepreneurial journeys and you just have no clue. You were just always meant to be. I love it.
Exactly. It's like, okay, well, everything happens for a reason. And this is just how it was meant to unfold.
Yeah. What was the turning point in your career for you to move to an entrepreneur?
I think, I'd been working probably I was getting close to like my 12 or 13 years in corporate, and I was at a managerial level. I knew I'm never going to be, I'm not on the track to be an executive. Right. And I think there's a certain point when you're at like, you're not a new manager. You're not like, you're not like kind of the first level manager. Like you've been doing it for a while. And it's kind of one of those things where it becomes more important that you play the game than you actually produce something or you like make a difference. Right. And that's where I was like, oh, I was in that place where it's like, oh, this is no longer about my performance. This is no longer about what I can create or what projects we implement. This is about how well I play the game. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to play the game. I'm like, actually, I'll be totally honest with you. I wasn't very good at playing the game because I will say like in New York, when you're working, especially in the finance industry there's a lot of meritocracy, right? There's a lot of the game too, but there's a lot of it is also based in how well can you perform? And they'll give you a pass for all kinds of quirks, all kinds of like personality flaws, if you will, if you perform. And I found that like once you leave a certain level, that no longer applies. It really, really becomes about the game. And so I never really learned how to play that game. And I was like, okay, now I'm only playing the game. And I don't think I like this. I don't think I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like, I also kind of got to a point where I was maybe a little bit burned out and was like, wow, I'm just living my life for the 21 days of vacation I have this year. And that's really it. Like, wow. It's a little bit sad. The big scheme of things, like I felt really restless and like maybe like a little bit, I like it wasn't quite depression, but like maybe a little bit of ennui. Like either I have to accept that this is life and this is it, or I got to be brave and do something different and see if there's another way. And it took me a really long time to come to that conclusion. I sat in that for probably 2 years before I actually ripped the Band-Aid off and made the change.
Tell me a little bit about those emotions to those 2 years of just the roller coaster. Walk me through that. What's the highs and what's the lows? And ultimately, what can you pinpoint a day where you woke up and you were like, yep, we're done here. We're done here.
I feel like I remember a season when it happened. Like at first I was like, well, I didn't know what else to do. So it was kind of like, well, I have to accept this. I have to get comfortable with this. I got to like, what is wrong with me? That like, on paper, I'm doing amazing. I'm making a ton of money. Like this is so much easier than my job in New York. Like I almost don't have to try. Like what is wrong with me? Like literally that's kind of, I thought there was something wrong with me for like not feeling like, wow, I have everything, just being so happy and like fulfilled. And there was a little bit of that for a while. Like that was probably the first emotion was like, there's something wrong with me. And then finally I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something I can change or within this situation, or, you know, maybe I'll do some like, you know, I started to dabble in like a little bit of personal development to see if like, okay, well, can I find fulfillment outside of this? Right? Like, can I change my situation so that I can have like some semblance of like happiness and contentment? That didn't really work great either. Cause I mean, I had a very demanding corporate job and I personally was not ready to actually change like from a personal growth mindset level. I wasn't ready to do that. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just find another job. And even those things where I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm just going to, nothing is more vacation. Nothing is like, it's pretty standard. Like where I was working like 21 days of PTO, like you accrue it over. It's like, nothing is really giving you more vacation days. So I'm like, okay, well, what else is there? And I remember being on vacation in Costa Rica. It was probably like, it was a very tough trip because I just felt really restless internally. Like I was just like, I just didn't like something was really, really off. I didn't feel good. There was a lot of introspection. It's really hard to be on vacation and have a great time when you're just like in internal turmoil the whole time. So I remember coming back from that trip being like, you know what? I think I just want to leave this. And I think if I were to do something crazy, now would be the time to do it. Like I could always go back to having another job, right? Like it was kind of like, that's the thought that came to me is like, if you're going to do something crazy or you're going to do something like totally in left field, like, why won't you do it now? Like when there's like still some runway, right? Like, where like, if it doesn't work out, you could just go back to the old thing. And so that's where I had that first thought. And then I started to plan after that. I was like, well, what would it look like? What would I do? I mean, I thought I was going to like become an accountant all of a sudden and like do accounting like remotely. I mean, it was really like my ideas were like kind of off the wall crazy. I'm like, who just becomes an accountant? Like that is not like actually a real thing.
Not on a whim anyways.
Yeah. And I was like, it was crazy. So I was kind of going through these different iterations of like, what could it be? What could it possibly look like? And then I actually settled on like, this was actually my first business idea was I wanted to start a VA agency, right? Because I was like, oh, I've built teams. I've had a ton of assistants. I've had a ton of like, you know, different people who supported me, different people who supported like the different businesses I was starting, the different entrepreneurs I worked with. So I'm like, oh, I can totally do this. And I started. So, I mean, I came to that resolution. I decided I was going to leave and it was more of a season. Like I remember that was kind of around Christmas time. Then I decided I was going to leave and I was planning on leaving my company. So I was like, okay, so what do I need to really do to do that and kind of put the years in place? So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should like save a little more, cut back on my spending. Like, you know, every day is Christmas at Diane Lam's house and packages every day of the year. I was like, maybe I should cut back on that and also start to think about like, okay, well, what does this look like? How am I going to do it? I signed up for a lot of courses, a lot of like programs to start to put it together. And that's when it's like, as I started to do that, that's when it became more real. And I will say like, I quit my job because I wanted to get my team through the first like board meeting season. So I was like, okay, I know around the time it's going to be after, it'll probably be in April is when I remember it's like, I think I quit my job April 18th. My last day was going to be like the 28th. And then I moved to a different state, like 5 days after that. Like when I rip a Band-Aid off, I really, really do it fast. So I dumped everything. I was like, okay, I quit my job. Here's my 2 weeks. And then 5 days after that, after my last day, I dumped everything and I got on an airplane and I never looked back.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love this. You are wild.
So that is like the roller coaster journey, as you could say.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. What's amazing about that is walking through sort of those transitions and having those moments of like, I have a light bulb. Oh, yep. We're going to ride this wave. And then it was like, well, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, but maybe I should, and just kind of that wrestling moment that you had with yourself. I feel like everybody can resonate with, especially women that are trying to fight so hard to get out of corporate and do something. Whether you have a business idea or you have this little, on the side business that you're trying to create into something beautiful, there is those oh shit moments like, am I going to be able to sustain out of this? And at some point, you just have to pull a Diane and rip the Band-Aid off and move on, right? Just do it. Because I heard something the other day and she said, what if tomorrow never comes?
Yeah.
Did I do everything today that I wanted to do? Because what if tomorrow never shows up? Instead of, most people say, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow.
Later.
But what if it never shows up? Then what?
Yeah.
Thank you for that amazing story. For those of you that do not follow Diane's journey, so you start the business, you are doing the thing, and I know, but not everybody else knows, you have pivoted yet again. And here we are. There is an email, I think maybe it was this week, and there is something that really stuck out to me, and I just want to read it to you. I've never been truly, madly, deeply connected to my business, my message, and the change I wanted to be in the world.
Yeah, that's true, right? Like, I think that in retrospect, now that I've gone through this, I think looking back, like, I feel like every part of my business has been me searching for something that I wasn't quite sure what. I had like an idea of it, but it was never really fully formed. And then when you start a business, you're like, oh, well, I got to live. So like, let me go and like do the things that are being fed to me or that like I see most frequently. And it never really gave myself time to like, well, what is the thing that I'm really trying to create? And honestly, I don't think I could have even answered that question when I started my business. Like, I had to come through it. I had to build a lot of different iterations. I had to like find success in ways that didn't fulfill me to be able to look back at it and be like, oh, wait, there is something that I really wanted to create. There's like, I had a bigger why. I just lost sight of it for a long time. I couldn't pull it out and articulate it and give it room to like breathe and grow. I did tell a friend of mine this, that like, when I started this rebrand, it's been probably 6 or 8 weeks of like, we've actually been intensely focused on like really picking everything apart and rebuilding it, reshaping it, that I was like, you know what? People always say start with your why, but I don't think I would have been able to answer that with the same why that I have today that is more resonant with me. Because why, when you start a business, you don't really know what you're doing. I think a lot of the why is like, well, I want to have more money, more time, more freedom, or something, right? But it's not really like the soul deep why until later. Like, so it's like that was never something that resonated with me. So every iteration of my business before this point was just like, okay, well, I'm chasing all the things that I'm told that I'm supposed to chase. I'm chasing the money. I'm chasing like all the external factors that say like, oh, you're a successful business. But is this the thing that I really wanted to create? No, not, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what that is because I've never really given it the chance to bloom. So now it does feel like, oh, it's all clicked into place. Now it's like, this is the thing that like, I stand behind this message 100%. And like, this is going to work no matter what, like, because I believe in it so much. And I think that's the difference versus before. It's like, well, we'll just do a different strategy. We'll find another way to make some money. No big deal. And that's what a lot of the tweaks and iterations were about versus now it's like, no. This is the thing that's going to last for, I don't want to say a lifetime, but like for the foreseeable future, right? Like this is going to be the thing. This is the place where I'm planting my flag.
Yeah. Would you say that it's true that in order to get to your why, you have got to spend the time and space of searching the what is serving me and what is society just asking me to do?
Yes. And I think that you also need to evolve as your person, as a business owner, because it's really hard to see a bigger why, right? Like the way that Simon Sinek puts it, like the thing that connects you to the world that you're so passionate about. I think it's really hard to see that when you are initially starting out a business, because like the survival piece is very real, right? Like there's a lot of, I don't want to mean whether it is like real pressure or like, kind of the stuff that we think about in our minds, like it exists. Right. And so a lot of those first whys are usually grounded, from my experience and from what I've heard from my peers, a lot of those first whys are really grounded around financial survival. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's not that like I've heard from very, very few people who are like, I knew my why at the onset. I knew the change that I wanted to bring to the world when I started this business. Usually it's more of like a personal change, is more what I hear most frequently is like, I wanted to change my personal circumstances. And I was really chasing, like the financial circumstances. Yep. And then once you get past that, it's like, oh, wait, I got all the things I wanted and I'm still not happy, or nothing changed. Nothing's different. I'm not different. And that's when like the bigger purpose starts to like show itself, or like you start to remember it, or it starts to grow a little bit more. I know that's been my experience personally. Like, even if you asked me that question, you brought me through this whole process when I first started my business, my answers would not be the same. Like, cause I couldn't see past the fact that like, well, I really need to survive. Like, I really need to like have a life for myself. So I think, yes, you do have to go through those iterations to get there. And a lot of times, like, you're not going to be able to go through the iterations until like you've gone through a number of iterations already. Right.
Yeah. What is your deep soul connection now to your business? What is that?
So I remember like one of the things that came out when we were doing some of these initial rebranding conversations, like I remember when I was in corporate and I was so freaking cocky, like I'm like working in finance for years. Like I've started numerous hedge fund, $1 million businesses. I got this. And I like casually strolled down to the SBA and I was like, oh yeah, give me all your information. Like you're going to tell me how to do everything. Little do I know, like, okay, the SBA is probably not the best place for the type of business that I wanted to run. Like more, if I was a brick and mortar, yes, they would have been able to help me, but not really for the online, really flexible, like, work from anywhere type of business I wanted to create. And so I remember them giving me a piece of paper where they're like, okay, eyes wide open. Like it was something like 67+%, something like that was like small businesses are women owned. And of that 67%, only about 12% of those women make it to 100K. And of that 12%, only 6% make it to 250K. And I was like, wow, those numbers are really low. Like I was surprised, or because like I knew that most businesses, like small business failed, but I didn't know that such a vast majority of female-owned businesses failed. And I was like, wow, well, obviously, like I'm gonna try really hard not to be part of that group, right? And those numbers stuck with me for a long time. And now I was like, wait a second. I look back on the journey of my business and the financial successes I've had. And like, I was like, wow, I did make it to that upper echelon. And I did it working only with the people who've already made it to the upper echelon, right? That 250K and beyond number. Like, I was like, wow, this is really crazy. I never thought I would only be working with like the elite few who made it. And that doesn't resonate with me really at all. Cause I was like, when I had first made my first 100K, I remember thinking that everything was going to change. Like I was going to be different. My business was going to be different. Suddenly I was going to like walk around with like a new swag and like I was going to have it all. And that didn't really happen at all. Like it started to get harder actually. Like once I crossed over my first 6 figures, it started to get harder. And there was nothing that was really there that was like, oh, okay, this is what you need to do next. And this is how you do it. A lot of what I was being sold was like, oh, well, you've made your first 6 figures. Well, you want to scale. So you really have to invest in yourself. I know this investment is like, like these coaching, like really big coaching programs, masterminds, communities where it's like really stretchy in terms of a financial investment. And like a lot of the messaging was like, well, you have to invest in yourself. Like, this is what you need to do to get you to your next level. And I was like, okay, well, Okay, well, that's the only thing that seems available to me. And so I invested in a lot of these programs, and I was not saying none of them were bad. I learned so many amazing things. But at the same time, I also remember like kind of the frustration that came with it, where I was like, I still don't really know what to do. Wait, you said I need a lead magnet. What kind of lead magnet makes the most sense for me? Is it like a ebook, a checklist? Like, I'm thinking this, is this, it's like, there was just like a lot of uncertainty. And I was like, well, if I just wanted someone to give me the answers, and if I could give those people the answers, like, I think my business would have grown really, really quickly and a lot differently. There would have been a lot less struggle and a lot less spinning my wheels. And that's something that I know that I can help people with, right? So that's kind of been the big transition, is like, I never intended to work with this upper echelon of business owner, right? The select few who made it. And I was like, well, why can't we make that? Because like that 6% number still sticks. Why can't we double the 6% number? Why can't we more female business owners make it to that 250K level and beyond? And so they can be somebody else's big client in the future. So where I'm really focused now is like, wow, I guess my knowledge around how to actually run a business is really vastly important. And a lot of business owners out there just need the answers. I can just tell you the answers. How about that? So that you can really build and grow and create a foundation that will give you that actual lifestyle that you're looking for and will sustain your growth so that you can get to those 250, 350, 450, 550, $1 million and beyond, where it's not like a total chaotic, I will say, shit show getting there. And once you're like at the edge of burnout, you're like, okay, now I need like a $20,000 or $30,000 solution to fix this all for me because it's not working, right? Like, I know that because I used to charge that, right? Like, when you cannot afford to not make those changes anymore, like, that's what it costs. And that's what a lot of my friends in the industry still charge now too. So can we prevent that from happening? And can we at the same time increase the number of people who are being successful if they just had access to operational expertise? Like, if they just had the answers to the, how do I do this in my business questions? I know it like in my soul that there would be so many more people who would be able to be successful. So that's a lot of words for me to say, like,
no, that's beautiful words.
Is really to make that operating expertise. Like, how do you actually operate a business to make that really, really accessible to the people who are still coming up on their growth journey, right? So that they can actually make it to 250K. They can do it in a sustainable way. And they have the foundation that will propel them past that point and beyond, right? So that is where I'm focused now.
That's beautiful. You know, I think that we naturally have an instinct, if you have an entrepreneurial instinct, to build a business, right? You know how to do the EIN and all of the stuff and things to like get you at least going, right? And generating some revenue. There is a point in time, which you kind of reflected on, which was, I think I need X, Y, and Z. And so there's always someone out there saying, yes, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And make no mistake, those are beautiful people out in the world, and they generate revenue in their own right doing it. But there's always the missing link of how do I do this? Does that mean that I need a team of people? Does that mean that I need to create a product? And if I need to create a product, how do I do that? Because some people have access to Canva and all of the things, right, to make it pretty, but is it functional? Is it going to be sustainable? And I think it's really beautiful that you have, through your journey, kind of been like, that missing link is me. Like, I know how to tell people what to do, how to do it, and what it's going to yield for them so that it's tangible and it's actionable. I think out in society, we do a really, really good job of telling people what they need, but not a really good job of helping people get there. And thank you. I'm just going to say it for everyone that comes through your front door. Thank you for being that person, because it takes a special person to really look at a business operationally and go, whoop, there are broken pieces here and here. Okay, let's button it up, but also let me show you how to do this so that you can continue to do it, right? Because I think it's one thing too, where they say, I'm going to show you, and then you're kind of on your own. And then once you get that operating, there's always going to be another hurdle. There's
Yes.
always going to be something that is changing in your business that warrants something else that needs to be changed as well. And so I think it's really great that you're encouraging people to be uncomfortable enough in their business to raise the hand and raise the flag and say, I need help. I need someone to show me what I'm doing because I can't do it myself, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like we have a lot of strategy everywhere, but there's not actual tactics. And even when people say they're giving you the tactics, I'm like, this is just another strategy. It really needs to be customized to the business. Like I've had clients in the past who like literally in the same coaching program, they have the same coach, they follow the same scaling framework, they run similar businesses, but they're like, well, I copied all my friends' stuff. Like we're actually good friends, but it still doesn't work for me. I was like, well, because you guys have different operating goals. You want to run a certain kind of way. They want to run a certain kind of way. So even if you bought everything they bought, but you didn't put it together the way that it works for you, so it never is going to work for you, right? And I think that customization expertise, like, right? Like we need to make sure like, hey, here's the framework, but it needs to be wrapped around your business for it to give you the results you actually want. That piece is really missing. So even people who are like, oh, well, here's the tactics, like here's how you do it. It's how you do it for your business, not necessarily how I'm going to do it for my business. And that's where I see a lot of people like, I bought this program because it like it gave me all of these processes and all these SOPs. I'm like, 98% of these processes don't apply to your business.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, why does it even matter that you have a whole vault full of them when they don't matter for you? And the ones that you do matter, like, still need to be customized to you and the way that you produce, the way that you create, the way that you deliver. Like, there's still work that needs to be done in that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you're right. There is a huge gap in the how. We're always fed more strategy, and there's not really like a focus on like, well, now you actually have to do it.
Yeah.
And here's how you do it specific for you. And that's what I really want to bring to the market, to the industry, right? Where it's like, okay, of course, there's a framework for scaling. I have a framework for scaling, but I'm never just going to give you the framework. We need to apply the framework to you and your business in order for it to get results. Or you're just going to be like, okay, I did the things and nothing works. Great.
Yeah.
I'm back where I started.
Yeah. Number one, you're back where you started, but also you've added burnout. You've added busy work to your list. You've added a whole team of people that probably are unnecessary because you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it's going to stick. And you're spending all this extra money when honestly, if you would have just backed it up a few notches and been like, actually, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I should probably find somebody. Like I have this big, broad idea and I just need somebody to condense it down and say, okay, let's peel back the onion layer and figure out where to start.
Yeah.
And the point of entry for everyone is going to be different. You know,
Yes,
it just, it's amazing.
And I will say that the other piece I just want to because I think this is so important is that like, you have to know, right? Like you can say, hey, I'm just going to outsource it to someone else when I make X number of dollars or once I sign X number of clients. But you, as the business owner, are still 100% responsible for your business. And you are the only expert that there is in your business. It does not matter how many amazing people you hire. If you have no idea how you want to run, if you have no idea what the outcomes you want are, what the results should be, like it's a hard slog if you just bring in a lot of people into your business to just fix everything when you have no idea, right? Like what you really want within the business and how you're generally getting it. You don't need to be perfect, but you have to have a general idea of like, what outcomes do I really, really want? How should this work for me? So that you can gauge whether or not it's like, is this the right thing? Do we build the right thing or the wrong thing? Right? That's usually a question that I hear all the time. Like, well, we built the systems, we built the tech, we built the automations. Like I hired the people, but is it like the right person? Is it the right system? Well, I can never answer that for you. I can ask you some questions and help you get to whether or not it is right or wrong for you. But like, you still know it. I don't know it. I need you to tell me. Right? And that's where I think there's a lot of challenges, like where you're like, oh, I'm going to outsource it all. Like everyone says, outsource it, hire that person to do it for you. You still have to lead that person. Mm-hmm. That person is not an expert in your business. You still got to tell them and show them a little something. And as your business grows and expands, there will be more versions of that person, right? You add or like, you switch them out, you add and you grow and you build more, and you still have to be able to do that. So it's important that you know what your operations are, how they work, what you want, so that you can actually grow your business, right, to whatever level you want it to be. It's never just going to be like, oh, well, here you go. Yeah. Figure it out for me. I'll be at the beach.
Yeah. Well, and I think it all comes back to your why. You know, if you can't be clear on what your business is for you personally, not what it is out in the world and how it shows up on social media and what other not the cultural element of that.
Yeah.
It is how you feel about your business. And one of the things that you said that in that same email, which really blew me away, was you now feel safe and grounded in your business. And that for me was just like almost a call to action of like, am I feeling safe and grounded in my business? And what do those two words actually mean? What do they mean to me in my business? And so I'm going to ask you the same thing. When you say you feel safe and grounded, what does that mean?
So I think a lot of my previous business was based off of like, well, I got to chase the dollars. And there was like a feeling of like, I am not safe. This is not okay. I don't know if this is going to work. And there was a lot of that kind of frenetic energy around it. And now I'm like, wait, no, I know where I'm planting the flag. I know what the bigger vision is. I know kind of all of my programs, anything I do going forward really needs to align with this vision that I've created for myself now. Right. So the way that everything that we do, the way that we show up, the way that we produce marketing, the way that I create new programs, the way that I just talked with my consulting team about pricing structure, right? And accessibility is a big thing for me. Like everything about that, like that became like a very heated discussion. It's like, no, it needs to be accessible. It cannot be high ticket. So things like that, like are all really guiding principles. And that's what it feels like to be like, no, I know with certainty, with conviction, what is right and wrong for me in this business. Like the answer is right there because it's very, very clear what the direction is, where we're going. So I'm very grounded. I'm very sure. I'm very stable in the decisions that need to be made and whether it is a yes or a no, because we know where we're going. We know what's happening. And I stand behind what I'm creating, right? Versus before I'm like, okay, well, convince me. And I'm happy for someone to convince me in another direction or like, oh, well, what about this type of program? Or what about like, a short-term, ultra-high package, like, ultra-high ticket package? I'm like, okay, that sounds good too. Like, okay, like, let's do that. Or, okay, we could try a VIP day model. Why not? Versus it was really hard to just be like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Or that doesn't make sense for me. Or, oh, I just don't want to do that. When you're like, oh, okay, well, it's all I see are dollar signs and like, there's a potential to make money. So let's just do it and see. Versus now it's like, no. There's a very clear path forward and everything else is just noise.
Yeah. When you have that clear path forward and you're working with a team of people, are you super transparent with them to say, this is my vision, this is my why, this is everything that needs to operate inside of that? Do you have those hard conversations with them to make that known? And if so, how do you weed the herd if somebody is not aligning with that?
So we actually have not had this. Like my team has seen the initial outlines because we have not finalized everything. Like once I finish all of the consulting work, everything will be packaged, right? And then delivered to us as like one big thing. And then we'll do like the plan is to do a big like training discussion then, so they can see the full pictures instead of like pieces of it. And like trying to fill in the gaps on their own, right? So I'm like, let me just tell you the full picture. I'm happy to give you a sneak peek knowing that, hey, there's more context that's going to go around this.
Sure.
But like the bigger picture will come later. So my team and I'm a big proponent of transparency. They always know, like, if there is something that has gone wrong, I'm like, okay, something has happened. We need to talk about this. Like, let's reset. And that is kind of the culture that we have in our team. Like there is a transparency. If something is happening, if you're not getting what you need, if I am the person that you're like literally waiting for me and I'm like, why did you miss your deadline? Well, because of you. And I'm like, oh, okay, I received that. I think that having that in place is something that has definitely helped because I'm like, hey guys, I just want you to know I've hired these consultants. They're going to be working with me on these big elements. It means all of this is changing. What we're going to do right now is we're going to hold the ship stable. Like that's all we're doing, right? That's all of our goals right now. And as I get more information, I'm going to show you some of the bits and pieces, but know that we'll have all of the context, because I do think context is super, super important, right? To like understanding what's happening. If I just gave you the bits and pieces, it could be a very different picture than what I'm actually imagining. So I want to make sure that they have the full context to really understand what's happening. And those conversations, I don't think are as difficult, right? Because it's like we're always used to talking this way with each other. I'm always used to sharing kind of, here's what's happening. And like, no one is going to get fired right now, right? Like not right now, right? And I'm saying, I told them, like, I told my marketing team, like, hey, there's going to be a big overview of like, there's going to be a big review of everything that we're doing in marketing. There are going to be some things that we continue. There are going to be some things that we might stop. And that might mean we make adjustments to where we allocate resources, how we do things. And that will come in time, right? So that's something that we discussed. And as like, obviously we will have a conversation. We'll see what the bandwidth thing really needs to be then. But I don't want anyone to feel like they're in trouble or anything like that, because that's not the case. This is about really making sure that we are operating the way that we need to, that we're doing marketing the way that we need to align to the values. So I just want to be transparent about, like, that's literally how the conversation went. I'm going to be transparent. I'll tell you that there's possibility that we might be stopping some things in the future, but that doesn't mean that anyone is going to go away or any roles are going to go away. We might need to redirect a lot more resources to other places. So I just want you to be aware, right? Like that's what's happening. And it's like, I don't want you to be like, oh, well, why are you asking for all of like, oh, our performance metrics all of a sudden? Well, because we're doing a big overview. Like we're going to look at everything to see what's really performing for us. And so that is a conversation I've definitely had with the marketing team. And it's like, okay, yeah, so we will take it as it comes, but no one is going to be blindsided. No one is going to be like, it's not going to, like, I'm not someone who is like going to act in an unfair manner, like leave today. Don't come back, right? Like that's not who I am. And that's not how I work with my team. But like, I think it's important for people to know what's happening. So I've always had that set air of transparency. And so like my team knows, like if something has happened or if like there's been a mess up, like I will probably be the first person to raise the conversation. And they also in turn have that same transparency with me. We're like, actually, like you're a little bit behind. Like, when are we going to get all that stuff from here? Like, oh yeah. Thanks guys.
I think that's super important for any business really. But I think women in business have a harder time being transparent because I can do it all. Don't worry about it. I don't want to burden my team. I don't want to, really say anything until I know for sure, because they're not sure most of the time, right? Yeah. And I think it's important for all women in business to understand that being super transparent is actually a superpower. It's actually the glue for your business to keep running. Because if you're not transparent first with yourself and then with your team of people, that will actually be your demise.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. And we think of transparency as like telling everyone everything for like the entire plan. I'm like, transparency can just be like, hey, there's things that are changing. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but I want you to be aware. Like that is transparency, right? Yeah. Like I'll let you know more as I learn more, as I uncover more. Right? Yeah. Like
it's okay to be vulnerable.
I don't need to tell you everything behind the scenes down to the because I don't know yet. Yeah. But you know what's happening, and you know that I'm going to help give you that information. I'm going to help you get up to speed when I have the information. So that is what real transparency is like being like setting the stage for the context, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is the situation. This is what's happening. This is what I know. This is what I don't know. And this is what we need to do right now. Just like keep everything steady. Like nothing's happening right now, but like, over the next few months where things are going to change. Like, you'll know more as I know more. Like, that's it.
Right. Diane, what's next for you?
What is next for me? So finishing up the rebrand, right? So a lot of the underpinnings are done where I've just kicked off the visual rebrand. I'm super excited. I just started to see some of like the preliminary things start to trickle out. So stay tuned for that stuff. It's super exciting. And then we're launching. So we have a whole new set of programs that are going to come out that are really designed to help people get from like, okay, well, you're close to or you've made your first 100K and you're like, oh wait, things are starting to get a little hard here. Like nothing, I thought it would change, but nothing has, right? So these are really specifically designed to help people get to their 250K mark by really building stable operations. Meaning, like our primary focuses right now are the tech and the automations, like that essential core technology and automations to really get them organized and ready to like grow. We're really focused on like hiring those first VAs, like those unicorns, right? So you have a good experience and get the support you need. And then also like some of the basics of building systems, not SOPs, but like, really start to determine like, how do you want to operate so you can start to think about and develop systems that will give you the end result that you desire. So those are kind of the first few programs that are going to be rolling out over the next, I would say, we're in the middle of like May now. So over the next like 4 to 6 weeks, we'll start to roll all those things out. And I'm super excited because I think that this is definitely something that I haven't seen necessarily in the industry. You guys see something, you let me know, because I'm always looking for like, is this crazy? Am I just crazy? Like, okay. But those are things that are starting to come out. And I'm super excited because I really, 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 I'm like, let me just help you. Let me just give you some answers. So you don't have to waste the time on YouTube. You can just ask somebody with some real expertise that will like give you an answer specific to you and your business and your goals. Like, yes, let me just help you. Like, that's what I want to bring to the operation space.
You do have a shepherding heart, and we love that. Where can everybody find you?
I think I'm all over the internet, actually. Not all over, like it's not OnlyFans situation.
Don't go search for her there. She won't be there. She's too busy paving her own way.
So you can find me on Instagram at dianelam.co. You can find me at LinkedIn at Diane.Lam. And I think I'm on the Facebook too. I'm pretty sure DianeTLam.co. So you can find me all over the interwebs.
I love it. And what I would say is get on her email list. I thoroughly enjoy you pouring your heart out every week on where you are. I mean, this whole transparency piece, I mean, you can find that in Diane's emails. And it's the most beautiful, encouraging thing that I read every week, every few days that comes out, because it just, that in and of itself, if someone is struggling to even conceptualize what it would mean to find their why or how to be transparent, that's it. Find the email, get in touch. I'll put that shameless plug for you because it's a beautiful one. So I really am looking forward to what you have going. And, as always, we're always here to cheer you on. And I just thank you so much for spending time with me today. And for those of you that need a source of energy, head over to Diane Lam. She's a beauty.
Yes. And you're right. The email list is exactly the place to like follow me. If you want the first and the most complete story, the most complete strategies and like that, I share that with my email list first and foremost. And then I don't want to say everyone on social sees a watered down version, but they see a version of it from the email list. So yes, I'll send you the link for it. And it's the easiest place to just like get the truth, get the sword from the horse's mouth. Is that how they say it? From the horse's mouth.
Yes. The horse's mouth. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Diane. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you heard something that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people just like you become inspired to move the needle of their big CEO energy into a positive direction. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me. And don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.